Hello. Welcome to our storytelling channel, Grey Revenge. Before we begin today's story, I kindly ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It's really important for our growth. I'm sure you're going to love being here every day, listening to new stories. The rain drummed against my kitchen window as I sat with my morning coffee, reading the newspaper that had grown thin over the years. At 72, my routines were simple. Coffee at 7, news until 8, then whatever the day brought. What I didn't expect was my daughter Sarah bursting through my front door without knocking, designer heels clicking against my worn linoleum floor. "Dad, we need to talk." Her voice carried that edge I'd learned to recognize over the past year, ever since she'd gotten engaged to Michael and started spending time with his family, the Caldwells. I folded my newspaper carefully and looked up at her. Sarah stood in my modest kitchen like she didn't belong there anymore, which perhaps she didn't. Her clothes cost more than my monthly pension, gifts from her new family, who seemed determined to remake her in their image. "Good morning to you too, sweetheart." "Coffee?" She waved dismissively. "I don't have time. Michael and I set the wedding date, June 15th, and we need $45,000 from you." The number hung in the air between us like a challenge. $45,000, nearly half of everything I had left after my wife Linda's medical bills and funeral expenses. "Sarah, that's a considerable amount. Can we sit down and discuss what's realistic?" Her face hardened. "What's realistic is that this is my wedding day, Dad, the most important day of my life. The Caldwells have already committed to their share. Patricia and William have been incredibly generous, and they expect the same from you." Patricia and William Caldwell. I'd met them twice, both times feeling like I was being evaluated and found wanting. William owned Caldwell Construction, a company that seemed to have unlimited resources. Patricia wore jewelry that sparkled with the kind of authority money brings. "I can contribute $12,000, I said carefully. "That's what I can manage without touching my emergency savings." Sarah's laugh was bitter. $12,000. "Dad, the flowers alone cost more than that. The venue wants $25,000 just for the deposit." I walked to my desk and pulled out my bank statements, spreading them on the kitchen table like evidence in a trial. "This is what I have, Sarah. After your mother's cancer treatments, after the funeral, after trying to keep this house, this is it." She barely glanced at the papers. "The Caldwells say that real parents find a way. William took out a business loan for Michael's sister's wedding. Patricia sold her mother's antique collection. They sacrifice for their children. And what exactly am I not sacrificing? You're being selfish." The words exploded from her with surprising venom. "You sit in this tiny house with your tiny pension and your tiny dreams, and you expect me to have a tiny wedding to match. Well, I won't do it, Dad. I deserve better." I gathered the bank statements slowly, hands steadier than I felt. "What would your mother say about this conversation?" "Mom would want me to be happy. She'd want me to marry into a family that could provide for me, that could give me the life I deserve. Would she?" But Sarah was already grabbing her purse, a designer bag that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "I'm giving you 2 weeks to figure this out. Find the money, Dad, because I'm not settling for less, and neither is Michael's family." The door slammed behind her, leaving me alone with the echo of her ultimatum and the bitter taste of coffee gone cold. 2 days later, I discovered what my daughter really thought of me. I'd never been one for social media, but Linda's sister had helped me set up a Facebook account after the funeral. "It's good to stay connected," she'd said. I mostly used it to see photos of grandchildren I rarely saw in person. That Tuesday morning, a notification popped up on my phone. Sarah had posted something new. My thumb hesitated over the screen before tapping it open. Finally found parents who believe in making dreams come true. Thank you, Patricia and William, for showing me what real family support looks like. So grateful for my new family. Blessed with real parents, wedding dreams, a new family. The photos loaded slowly on my old phone. Sarah in an expensive bridal boutique, surrounded by mirrors and white silk. Patricia Caldwell adjusting a veil behind her, both women smiling like they'd known each other for decades. William in the background, credit card already out, ready to pay for whatever Sarah wanted. Real parents. I read the post 3 times, each reading making the words sharper, more cutting. Real parents. As if the 28 years I'd raised her, the nights I'd stayed up when she was sick, the college tuition I'd scraped together, the way I'd held her when her mother died. As if none of that counted because I couldn't write a check for $45,000. The comments started appearing immediately. You're so lucky to have the Caldwells. What amazing new parents you have. Patricia and William are angels. Finally, a family that appreciates you. Each comment was like a small knife, twisted by people who didn't know I existed. I scrolled through dozens of responses, all celebrating my replacement, all praising the family that had bought my daughter's love. I screenshot the post, then the comments, then the photos. Old habits from my accounting days. Document everything. Save everything. You never know when you might need evidence. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Dad, did you see my post? The Caldwells wanted everyone to know how grateful I am for real support. Still waiting for your decision about the money. I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. I saw it. No response came. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in 20 years. I called in a favor. James Morrison had been my closest colleague during my 30-year career at Henderson and Associates, one of the city's most respected accounting firms. We'd worked together on fraud investigations, embezzlement cases, financial audits that had sent more than a few criminals to prison. When James left to start his own private investigation firm, he'd given me his card. Call me if you ever need anything, David. The skills we learn don't retire when we do. I found his card in my desk drawer, slightly yellowed but still readable. Morrison Investigations. Discreet, professional, thorough. James, it's David Fletcher. David, good God, it's been years. How are you holding up since Linda passed? I'm managing. James, I need a favor. I need you to look into someone for me. There was a pause. This isn't like you, David. What's going on? I told him about Sarah, about the Caldwells, about the wedding and the ultimatum and the Facebook post that had branded me as insufficient. I told him about $45,000 I didn't have and the growing suspicion that something about William Caldwell didn't add up. Construction business has been rough the last few years, James mused. Lots of companies struggling, cutting corners, playing fast and loose with regulations. What kind of timeline are we talking about? The wedding's in 6 weeks. Whatever you can find, I need it before then. Complete background check on William and Patricia Caldwell. Caldwell Construction, financial records, business practices, the works. It'll cost you $3,000, a quarter of what I'd offered Sarah, but potentially worth every penny. Do it. David, what are you planning? I looked at the Facebook screenshot on my phone, at my daughter's radiant smile as she celebrated her new parents. I'm planning to give my daughter exactly what she deserves. While James worked his investigation, I did something else that surprised even me. I stopped answering Sarah's calls. The first day brought 12 calls. Her voicemail started concerned, then frustrated, then angry. Dad, why aren't you picking up? We need to finalize the budget. This is ridiculous. Call me back. Fine, be childish, but this wedding is happening with or without your contribution. The second day brought 15 calls, including 3 from Michael and 2 from Patricia Caldwell herself. Mr. Fletcher, this is Patricia. Sarah is quite upset that you're not responding. We really need to sit down and discuss the wedding arrangements like mature adults. To say, the third day brought 18 calls, and something I hadn't expected, desperation creeping into their voices. Dad, please call me back. The Caldwells are asking questions about your contribution, and I don't know what to tell them. David, this is William Caldwell. I think we got off on the wrong foot. Let's meet for dinner and work this out properly. By the end of the week, my phone showed 47 missed calls. I'd kept careful records in a notebook, tracking the frequency and tone of each message. The pattern was clear. Confusion had given way to frustration, frustration to anger, and anger to something approaching panic. What fascinated me was how quickly they'd unraveled. 1 week of silence, and suddenly my contribution had become essential. The family that could afford everything suddenly needed the modest pension of a retired accountant. I sat in my living room, surrounded by photo albums and memories, listening to my phone buzz with increasing frequency. Each unanswered call felt like a small victory. For the first time since Sarah's ultimatum, I felt like I had some control. On Saturday morning, James called with his preliminary report. David, you need to sit down for this. I was already sitting, coffee growing cold as I waited for news that might change everything. William Caldwell is running a Ponzi scheme, has been for at least 3 years, maybe longer. The construction business is legitimate, but it's been losing money steadily. He's using new investor money to pay old investors, classic pyramid structure. The whole thing is built on borrowed time and false promises. I felt my chest tighten. How much are we talking about? Conservative estimate. He's taken in about $2 million from investors, but the actual construction contracts can't support half of that. The company should have gone bankrupt 18 months ago. And Patricia? She knows, has to know. She's been helping him recruit investors through her social connections, country club friends, church groups. They're using their reputation and lifestyle to lure in money they can't pay back. I thought about Sarah's expensive clothes, the designer bags, the casual way the Caldwells threw money around. All of it built on stolen dreams and broken promises. How long before it collapses? 6 months, maybe less. The SEC is already sniffing around some of his recent projects. When this goes down, David, it's going to be spectacular. Prison time, asset forfeiture, complete financial ruin. And anyone associated with them, anyone like my daughter, anyone like your daughter will be caught in the blast radius. I set down the phone and walked to my desk, pulling out a legal pad. Time to make a plan. The wedding was 4 weeks away when I finally answered one of Sarah's calls. Dad, oh my God, where have you been? I've been worried sick. Her voice was different, smaller, less certain than the confident woman who demanded $45,000. I've been thinking, sweetheart, about the wedding, about what you said, about what you need. And I'd like to meet with the Caldwells, all of us together. I think we should discuss this properly. The relief in her voice was palpable. Really? You'll consider increasing your contribution? I'll consider what's best for you. That's all I've ever wanted. We arranged to meet at Romano's, an upscale restaurant downtown, the kind of place where William Caldwell could display his wealth and generosity, where he could intimidate a retired accountant into compliance. I arrived 15 minutes early and chose a table near the back, with clear sightlines to the entrance and exit. Old habits from fraud investigations. Always know your surroundings, always have an escape route. Sarah arrived with Michael, both of them dressed like they were attending a business meeting. William and Patricia followed, radiating the kind of confidence that comes from never having been truly challenged. David! William's handshake was firm, practiced. Good to finally sit down and sort this out properly. Patricia air-kissed my cheek. We're so glad you're ready to be reasonable about this. We ordered drinks, expensive wine for them, coffee for me. I watched William's easy relationship with the staff, the way he ordered without looking at prices, the casual authority of a man who'd never worried about money. "So," William leaned back in his chair, "Sarah tells me you're concerned about the budget. I understand. Weddings are expensive, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Surely we can find a way to make it work. 45,000 is a significant amount for someone on a fixed income." "Of course it is, but think about what you're investing in. Sarah's happiness, her future, her place in our family." Her place in their family. As if she'd been adopted, transferred from one set of parents to another. "Patricia and I have always believed that family means sacrifice," William continued. "When Michael's sister got married, we didn't hesitate to do whatever was necessary. That's what parents do." "Real parents," Patricia added, smiling at Sarah. There it was, the phrase from the Facebook post, delivered with surgical precision. "You're right," I said quietly. "Real parents do sacrifice for their children. They protect them from danger, even when the children can't see it coming." Something flickered in William's eyes. Uncertainty, perhaps suspicion. "What kind of danger could there possibly be in a wedding?" Patricia laughed. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice recording app, setting it on the table between us. "The kind of danger that comes from building a life on stolen money and false promises." The table went silent. Sarah looked confused, Michael uncomfortable, but William's face had gone very pale. "I don't know what you're implying," he said carefully. "I'm not implying anything, William. I'm stating facts. Caldwell Construction is insolvent, has been for over a year. You're using investor money to fund your lifestyle and your family's expenses, including this wedding. It's called a Ponzi scheme, and it's a federal crime." Sarah gasped. "Dad, what are you talking about?" I reached into my jacket and pulled out a manila folder, placing it on the table. "Financial records, investor complaints, SEC correspondence. Your new family is built on fraud, sweetheart." William lunged for the folder, but I was faster. "These are copies, William. The originals are already with the appropriate authorities." "You're lying," Patricia hissed. "You're just a bitter old man who can't stand that we can give Sarah things you never could. You gave her things bought with other people's money, retirement funds, college savings, life insurance payouts. You stole people's futures to fund your daughter's wedding dress." Sarah was reading over the documents, her face growing paler with each page. "This can't be real. The business, the house, everything. Everything is mortgaged, leveraged, or stolen," I confirmed. "The FBI estimates you have maybe 3 months before the whole scheme collapses." Michael spoke for the first time. "Dad, is this true?" William's composure finally cracked. "It's temporary, a cash flow issue. We're restructuring, bringing in new investments. David's information is outdated." "The SEC filing is dated last Tuesday," I said. "They're already freezing assets." Patricia grabbed Sarah's hand. "You can't believe this. Your father is just jealous, trying to ruin your happiness because he can't afford to compete with us." Sarah pulled her hand away. "Is that what this is about, Dad? Jealousy?" I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. The expensive clothes, the perfect hair, the jewelry that sparkled with borrowed light. She was beautiful and lost, and about to have her world destroyed by people who'd used her as a prop in their criminal enterprise. "No, sweetheart, this is about love, real love, the kind that tells you the truth even when it hurts." William stood abruptly. "We're leaving. Sarah, Michael, we don't have to listen to this paranoid nonsense." "Sit down, William." My voice carried an authority I hadn't used in years. "Because if you leave now, I make a phone call that brings federal agents to your house tonight, instead of waiting for them to build their case slowly." He sat. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "Sarah is going to decide if she wants to marry into a family of criminals, knowing that in 3 months she'll be visiting her in-laws in federal prison. Michael is going to decide if he wants to stand by his parents or start building an honest life. And you two are going to decide how you want to spend your remaining freedom, continuing this charade or coming clean about what you've done. The restaurant continued its normal dinner service around us, other families enjoying meals and conversations that didn't involve federal crimes and broken dreams. I envied them their simple problems. Sarah was still reading through the documents, tears starting to run down her cheeks. All of it, everything you've given me. We wanted to give you the best, Patricia said desperately. You deserved nice things. With stolen money. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. I reached across the table and took her hand. The wedding dress you picked out cost $8,000. That money came from a woman in Phoenix who thought she was investing in her grandson's college fund. The venue deposit came from a retired teacher who put his life savings into William's fake construction project. Sarah was crying openly now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I know you didn't, but now you do. So what are you going to do about it? Michael finally spoke up. We can't have the wedding. Not like this. Michael! Patricia's voice was sharp with panic. No, Mom, this is wrong. Everything about this is wrong. He turned to Sarah. We'll have a small ceremony. Simple, honest. We'll pay for it ourselves. William made one last desperate play. You're throwing away everything we've worked for, everything we've built for you. You built it with other people's money, Michael replied. That's not building, that's stealing. I gathered up the documents and put them back in the folder. The wedding is off. The engagement can continue if you want, but away from all this. Start fresh, start honest. Sarah nodded through her tears. What happens to them? That's not up to me anymore. The authorities will handle it from here. As we left the restaurant, Sarah walked beside me instead of with the Caldwells. Dad, I'm so sorry. The things I said, the way I treated you. You were manipulated by experts, sweetheart. Professional criminals who knew exactly how to exploit your dreams. The Facebook post. Oh God, the things I wrote about you can be deleted. Words can be taken back. What matters is what you do next. 3 weeks later, William and Patricia Caldwell were arrested in a dawn raid that made the front page of the local newspaper. The headline read, Local businessman accused of $2.3 million Ponzi scheme. Sarah's wedding dress hung in my spare bedroom closet, a $8,000 reminder of how close she'd come to disaster. She and Michael had postponed the wedding indefinitely, focusing instead on building a life based on their own work, their own dreams, their own money. The Caldwell house was seized by federal agents. The construction business was shuttered. Dozens of investors faced the reality that their retirement funds, their children's college money, their carefully saved nest eggs were gone forever. I felt bad for them, those innocent victims, but I didn't feel bad for stopping it before Sarah became one of them. On Sunday afternoon, Sarah came over for our new weekly tradition, coffee and conversation without ultimatums or expectations. She'd gotten a job at a local bookstore, modest work that paid honest wages. Her clothes were simpler now, her jewelry less expensive, but she looked more like herself than she had in months. Michael proposed again, she said, showing me a simple gold band that probably cost less than her old manicures. With his own money this time? With his own money. He's working construction now, legitimate construction. Says he wants to learn the business properly before he even thinks about starting his own company. And the wedding? Next spring. Small ceremony in the park. Reception at the community center. We'll pay for it ourselves, save up over the next year. Sounds perfect. She was quiet for a moment, stirring sugar into her coffee. Do you think I'm a terrible person? For falling for their lies? For saying those things to you? I think you're human. And I think you learned something important about the difference between generosity and manipulation. The real parents thing. God, Dad, I can't believe I said that. The Caldwells were very skilled at making people feel special, making them feel chosen. That was part of their con. But you saw through it. I had advantages, professional experience with financial fraud, and enough distance to see the inconsistencies. When you're in the middle of being flattered and spoiled, it's much harder to think clearly. Sarah reached for my hand. Thank you for saving me, even when I didn't want to be saved. That's what real parents do. 6 months later, I received a letter from federal prison. William Caldwell, serving 5 years for investment fraud, wanted to express his remorse for the damage he'd caused my family. He hoped someday I might find it in my heart to forgive him. I threw the letter away without finishing it. Sarah and Michael's wedding was everything the Caldwell extravaganza wasn't. Small, personal, honest. 75 guests in a park pavilion, potluck reception, flowers from my own garden. Sarah wore her grandmother's wedding dress, altered to fit, carrying a bouquet that cost $12 at the farmer's market. She was radiant. As I walked her down the aisle, she squeezed my arm. This is how it should have been from the beginning. This is how it was always meant to be. The ceremony was simple. No professional photographers, no elaborate decorations, no imported flowers or designer dresses. Just 2 young people promising to build a life together based on love and truth and the kind of hard work that builds something real. During the reception, as I watched Sarah dance with her new husband to music played from someone's iPhone speaker, I thought about the road that had brought us here, the ultimatum, the Facebook post, the federal investigation, the collapse of the Caldwell empire. Sometimes the most expensive gifts come with the highest price. Sometimes the people who promise you everything are the ones planning to take it all away. And sometimes the person who tells you no is the only one who really loves you. Sarah caught my eye from the dance floor and smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't need diamonds or designer dresses to shine. She'd learned the difference between being bought and being loved, between generosity and manipulation, between real parents and skilled con artists. It had taken a federal investigation and a Ponzi scheme collapse to teach her, but sometimes that's what love looks like. Not the easy yes, but the hard truth that saves you from disaster. As the sun set over the park and the simple celebration continued around me, I raised my coffee cup in a quiet toast to Linda's memory. Our daughter had found her way home to the values we'd tried to teach her, values that couldn't be bought or sold or stolen. That was worth more than all the money in the world. I hope you enjoyed today's story here on the Grey Revenge channel. If you did, then please like, share, and tell us your own story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Help us grow as a storytelling community and be part of this with us. Can I count on you? Thank you so much.